how music is changing in the age of Spotify. Hi there, welcome to Plain English. I'm Jeff. JR is the producer, and this is episode 207 of Plain English, the best podcast for practicing English. That's because we go a little bit slower than native speed so you can understand every word. And if you miss a word, don't worry. You can find a transcript of the program at plainenglish.com/207. Coming up today, you've probably heard of an executive summary in a business report. But what about in a song? Spotify pays artists royalties only after a customer has listened to 30 seconds of a song. So in response, artists are dispensing with the long song intros and getting right to the point, right to all the action. One critic called it an executive summary of the song in the first 30 seconds. That's today's topic, and we have a great phrasal verb for you. An informal one, but no less useful. That phrasal verb is stick around. And if you stick around until the end, then you'll hear JR's Song of the Week, both versions of it. I'm looking forward to today's topic. If you ever find yourself thinking that same thing, if you ever think you wish you could learn more about the topics we discuss on Plain English, then you're in luck. Every Monday and Thursday, JR sends out an email with links to the English language articles that I use to prepare the show. It's a great way to learn more about your favorite episode topics and to practice your reading at the same time. If you'd like to practice your English reading and engage more with our fascinating topics, then make sure you're on our email list. Just visit plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L, and enter your details. It's hard making a living as a musician these days, especially if you rely on royalties from streaming services like Spotify and Deezer, where every stream generates a fraction of a cent for the artists. But what exactly is a stream? According to the most popular business model, an artist gets paid after the song has been played for 30 seconds. Call it the 30-second rule. That sounds fair, right? A listener shouldn't have to listen to the very end of a song for the stream to count and for the artist to get paid. But if you skip the track just a few seconds in, you haven't really listened to it. But there is some evidence that this rule is having an effect on the way songs are written. You see, the 30-second rule incentivizes songwriters to get ears hooked on their songs as fast as possible so that listeners stick around past the 30-second threshold. Then two things happen. The artist gets paid, and the algorithm continues to promote the song to other users, and the virtuous cycle continues. All that means that artists are moving the hook earlier and earlier into the song. A song's hook is the part, usually near the beginning, that catches the listener's ear and makes them want to listen to the rest of the song. If listeners don't stick with the song to the 30-second mark, the artists don't get paid, and their song doesn't get promoted by the algorithm. You can see this play out in popular songs. Luis Fonsi's 2017 smash hit Despacito set records on every platform, from Spotify, where it was the first to garner 1 billion streams, to YouTube, where it became the most viewed video on the platform ever. Despacito hooks listeners with an intro of just under 30 seconds, and that gives listeners a quick-paced sample of the rest of the song's most catchy elements. And that's what a lot of songs are doing. They're not leaving anything to the imagination. One songwriting podcaster called it a musical executive summary. Señorita by the Canadian artist Shawn Mendes gets to the refrain even faster in just 15 seconds. JR tells me that the Eagles song Hotel California is a popular song in English classrooms in Mexico. Back in 1976, long before the era of the stream, the Eagles took their sweet time with 50 seconds of low-key acoustic guitar finger-picking before picking up the pace. Same goes for one of the most popular rock songs of all time, Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, which opens with about a full minute of quiet guitars. U2's Where the Streets Have No Name starts with 40 seconds of ambient noise, building the listener's anticipation. Epic long beginnings, like Pink Floyd's 9-minute-long intro to Shine On, You Crazy Diamond, those are probably a thing of the past. Not everyone is happy about how the 30-second rule is changing the way music is made. Grammy Award-winning artist Sarah McLachlan peaked in popularity in the 1990s, before we streamed songs on the internet. She said it's sad that artists have to write songs to please the streaming service's algorithm. She feels she was able to be more authentic in her songwriting during the 90s. She has a point, but there's another perspective too. The medium for distributing music has been influencing songwriting since long before McLachlan was born. Pop songs today are usually between 3 and 4 minutes long. Why is that? It dates back to the switch from 78 RPM discs to the smaller, more durable, and better sounding 45 RPM vinyl records in 1949. McLachlan's 1998 hit Angel was 4 minutes and 30 seconds long, perfect for that medium, the 45 RPM vinyl record. Even the existence of music albums is the result of the vinyl records that came out in the 20th century. It's not just music either. Is it a coincidence that the most popular novels are the right size for you to fit in your hands? In so much of art, the package it comes in does affect the content of what an artist creates. All that said, I don't think we want to live in a world where all new songs are simply reverse engineered for the benefit of Spotify algorithms rather than for humans. You can imagine the worst case scenario where all new music is just an attempt to game the system or appeal to a recommendation engine. That's why some streaming platforms are considering modifying their formulas for paying artists. Maybe the number of streams isn't the best way of measuring how valuable a song is. Think about this. Where does the money for the artists come from? In large measure, it comes from the monthly fees paid by streaming subscribers. So let's take a hypothetical situation. Let's say you and I both subscribe to our favorite service for $10 each month. Now, let's say we each only listen to one song all month. You listen to your favorite song 100 times. I listen to my favorite song only 50 times. My favorite artist gets paid for 50 streams. Your favorite artist gets paid twice as much. But you and I both pay the same $10 into the system. Is it fair for your favorite artist to get twice as much as mine since we're both paying the same into the system? The new viewpoint is that actually, no, that's not fair, and what artists should get paid should be more closely related to what their fans pay into the industry, into the system. So a new system like that would actually move the economics of music making back to what it was like before streaming became so popular. For almost the entire history of the music business, the artist's royalties were tied to album sales. If two people bought an album, the artist got paid the same, even if one person listened every day, but the other only listened once in a while. The advantage to a system like this would be to spread the wealth a little. The biggest hits would probably earn less, whereas the winners would be artists with a fan base who don't necessarily stream all day. I want to say hi to a few listeners today. Solange from Sao Paulo is the proprietor of a framing gallery. She loves the arts and loves studying English, and she now has more time to practice. So welcome, Solange. Also, Rodrigo from Sao Paulo is preparing to move to Canada and has taken the free IELTS course from our friends at IELTS Advantage. He's preparing to move to Canada to work in finance, so good luck with that IELTS exam. Do you stick around to the very end of every episode of Plain English? I certainly hope you do, because every minute of listening to English counts. And stick around is the phrasal verb we are going to talk about today. It means to stay in a place or an area. We say stick around. The 30-second rule on Spotify says that if you listen to a song for 30 seconds, then the artist gets paid for your stream. If you stick around for 30 seconds, then the artist gets paid. If you don't stick around for that long, then Spotify doesn't count it as a stream and the artist doesn't get paid. Usually, not always, but usually, we say stick around when we're talking about staying in a place after most of the excitement is over. The Spotify example is the exception, but in some of these next examples you're about to hear, stick around means to stay in a place after the action or excitement has ended. Let me ask you another question. When you go to the movies, do you stick around for the credits? The credits can cite hundreds of people. You usually can't read their names on the screen, but you always see some people still in their seats as the credits roll. They are sticking around until the very end. Sometimes you get rewarded for sticking around. Sometimes there are outtakes or extra clips or scenes after the credits as an extra bonus for those fans who stick around until the end. I don't want to stick around here too long. You might say that if you've got somewhere else to be. Maybe you want to leave a party, but your spouse or significant other wants to stay. Your date might say, let's stick around until 11, and then we can get out of here. If you're throwing a party, like at your house, you never really tell people when to go home unless you discreetly mention an ending time when you invite people over. If you host a dinner, guests will usually stick around for a little while after dinner. When the conversation starts to die down, people might head for the door. Maybe you've hosted a party and the guests stuck around for longer than you wanted. There's no great way to send people home. Maybe you use your body language or you stop holding up your part of the conversation. I try not to be that person who sticks around too long. You can use it at work if your part of a project is over, but your colleagues are still working on it. You might offer to stick around and help them out. Your boss might ask you to stick around until 5 or 6 o'clock in case a customer calls or something happens. Now, I've hinted before at the generational differences between the producer and the narrator of this show. JR is my ambassador to youth culture. He explained TikTok to me, for example. So JR told me that he heard a great new song on the radio a while back and he really liked it. Liked it a lot. His sister and even his little nieces recognized it and liked it when they heard it on the radio. Then someone asked him, JR, how do you like the original version? But he didn't even know there was an earlier version. So he told me about it, and guess what? I knew about the original one, but I didn't know it had been remade. The song is called Fast Car, written by Tracy Chapman. That's the original, the version I know. And the remake of Fast Car that JR likes is by Jonas Blue. So if you were ever looking for a musical representation of the differences between JR and me, here you have it. Listen to these two versions. Now throw Tracy Chapman and Jonas Blue some love and listen to at least 30 seconds of each one. Fast Car is the song of the week. That's it for today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then I think you'll love Plain English Plus, our new membership program. It's the best way to get even more out of the podcast you already know and love. With a Plus membership, you can listen to a fast version of the program, watch a video lesson with each episode, build your vocabulary with Quizlet flashcards and use our famous interactive translations. It's a great way to build your confidence and train your ear in English. Come join us at Plain English Plus by visiting plainenglish.com/plus, Plus, today. Thanks for sticking around until the very end. Coming up next time on Plain English, the rise of the ghost kitchen. And it has nothing to do with Halloween. I'll tell you what a ghost kitchen is next time around. See you then.